Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to add attachments to weapons in Survival Game Kit V2. So to get started, I'm just going to go to the Blueprints folder, then Items, then to the Attachment Items. Now this is where we keep all of our attachment items. Now these blueprints you don't place in the world. You wouldn't drag one of these into the world. These are actually spawned by the system and attached to weapons when our player is holding our weapon. So for this video, I'm going to be adding a sight. I don't have like another sight mesh, so I'm just going to be reusing the one included with the kit. But to get started, we're going to right click the master attachment and do create blueprint child class. I'm just going to call mine VP_sight. You can call yours whatever you like. If you're not making a site, you can still follow this video just fine. I'll be doing all of the site specific stuff towards the end of this video anyway. So if you're adding stock or like that to your weapon, you can still follow along with this just fine. So now we're in our attachment blueprint. We're going to add a new component. So I'm going to select the default seam route, add a new component, and I'm going to add a static mesh. And with that selected, I'm going to set my mesh. So for me, that's going to be it's called red dot. Yeah, the red dot. So I've done that. If you have a skeletal mesh, you can add a skeletal mesh component, and then obviously you would set your stacked mesh to whatever you're using. So we can quickly compile and save this. Next, we're going to go to the class defaults and we're going to set a few settings in here. We will be coming back to this a little bit later for the site settings, but I'm just going to set the basic attachment settings first. So the first thing is our attachment type. So this is which slot the attachment attaches to. So for this, I'm going to select the site. Then our attached socket. So this is the socket name that our attachment's going to attach to on our weapon's skeleton. So this needs to be exactly the same as the socket name in your weapon skeleton. So I'm just going to bring up the M4 skeleton for this video. Search for M4A4 and open up the skeleton. And we'll go to skeleton tree. You can see we've got all of our different sockets. So because this is a site, I'm going to be using the site socket. If you're using your own weapon skeleton, you may have to add a new socket in just for your new attachment. To do that, you can just select one of the bones in your weapon and select add socket. But for this video, I'm just going to be site socket. So I'm going to go back to my blueprint here, and I'm going to set the name to site, making sure that you spell it exactly the same as the skeleton's socket. Next, we can actually go down to the stats here. Now, the stats allow you to basically modify the weapon's damage, spread, auto fire rate, and recoil, and that can all be done here. Now, these values are added onto the weapon's current stat values. So if I was to say add a new damage value, open this up, I could say for head hitboxes, we want to add say 1 and 4 to the min and max damage values of our weapon. So our weapon would now do 1 more damage, minimum damage, or 4 more maximum damage on top of what it already does. This also works for minus. So if we wanted to actually have this attachment reduce our weapon's damage, we could also do that. So I could set it to -1, for example. And you can do this for all the hitboxes as well. So you can affect different hitboxes. You can also affect the build parts, so wood, stone, and metal here as well. So that's how you do that. And adding, removing, you just select the little plus symbol here to add new damage values, and then you can just click the down arrow here to delete any that you want to delete. Next, we've got the spread effect. So this essentially just increases or decreases the weapon's spread per shot. So again, you can use a plus or minus value here. Auto fire rate will affect how quickly the weapon fires rounds. Remember, this is only for if the weapon has automatic fire. This won't affect like semi-auto or burst fire weapons. And then recoil effect works similarly to the damage. This is added onto existing weapons' recoil effects. So again, you can use plus or minus values here as well. So if you wanted the attachment to reduce recoil, you'd use minus values for the min and plus values for the max. And then you would switch that around if you wanted the attachment to increase recoil. So I'm just going to leave mine as default here because we're adding a site. We don't really want to change any of this anyway. So that's all the settings in here for now. Oh, you can also change the fire sound, so you can have an attachment change what sounds the weapon uses when it fires, which is quite good for things like muzzle attachments or silencers, for example. But for now, we're just going to compile quickly. Next, I'm going to create a new item for our new site. I'm just going to do this quite quickly because there's already videos on adding new items. So we're just going to jump to the item list very quick. I'm actually just going to duplicate the... I'll search for site. I'm just going to duplicate this, the existing site item. And I'm just going to name site like that. So with our new item selected, if you're interested about finding out more information about these, check out the adding new items video. I go into loads of detail about these settings, but for this video, I'm just going to leave all of this as it is, and I'm going to go down to the attachment details. And here is where we set is attachment. So this is an attachment, so we're going to make sure this is enabled. The attachment is the blueprint we've just created, so I'm going to change that to site. Here we can set the attachment icon. So this is the icon that's used when you open up a weapon's attachment UI. So if you want to, you can set a specific one for that. Next, we've got attachment animations, detach animations. These are used for magazines. I'll explain a little bit more information about magazines at the end of the video. So for now, I'm just going to skip over that for the moment. We have a setting here called can only remove when the weapon is held. So if this is true, it means the weapon has to be in the character's hands before we can add or remove this attachment to it. That just means that you can't take it off while it's in the character's bag, for example. Then we've got a few more animations here. These are all again for the magazine, so I'm going to skip out on these, but other than that, we've set our new item up here now to use our new site. So lastly, we're just going to go save this quick. We'll go back to our showcase view, and we're going to go to the blueprints, items, and world items. We'll search for master, and we want master static item. We'll do create child blueprint class. I'm just going to call mine BP underscore site WI. And now we'll search that. So we'll search site and we'll open that up. And in here, we're going to go to item, master item list, and we'll search for site. And we'll select our new item we just created in the item list. If you need to set your mesh, you can do that here in the static mesh item in the item list. Yeah, again, if you want to find out more information about this, just check out the adding new items video. But we've just selected it. Our mesh has popped up now, so we can compile this, drag it into the world, and our character will now be able to pick this up as an item in the game. If you can't pick it up, make sure that your mesh that you're using. So I'll go to the attachment mesh quickly. So that'll be in meshes, stack. Here. Go to your mesh, and in here, make sure that your mesh has collision. To do that, click the collision option here, then do simple collision. This green box means that our mesh has collision. Yours doesn't have this green box. go to collision, and there's a few different options here. You can try them out and find out which one fits your attachment best. That's for if you can't pick up the item when we play here. So we'll quickly test and see it's picking up our item. Can't pick it up because I don't have a backpack right now, but I can pick that up, and you can see we've got our item. And if we pick up our rifle, if I drag this on, we can actually, if I drag this onto here. Oh, okay, so what we haven't done yet is we haven't told the weapon that it is allowed this attachment. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to go to our M4. So I'm just going to search for our M4A4, open that up. And in here, we're going to search for attachment. Now you can see we've got allowed attachments, and we've got a list of different ones here. What we need to do is we need to add our new attachment here. So I'm just going to dp_site, like that. You can also set default attachments. So if you wanted to, you could actually click the little plus here, and you could set our new item that we've just added, the attachment item, the default attachment. So now when this weapon spawns, it will actually have the sight already attached to it. So we'll hit play, and you can see it's actually got the sight on it attached to the weapon. If I hit hold, you can see our character's getting a bit messed up. Now that's because I forgot to disable collision in the attachment blueprint. We can do that quickly as well. So I'm just going to go to the BP site, the one we created earlier. Select the static mesh, and in here we want to go to collision presets, and we want this to be no collision, like that. So now when it's attached to our weapon, it won't have any collision, so it won't push around our character like that. So I'm going to hit play again, pick up our weapon, and we've got our sight attached. Now because I'm using the already existing socket on our weapon, mine's gone in the right position. But if yours doesn't, you can actually adjust it. So if you go to the weapon skeleton, see I've got the socket selected. I'm going to try and, well, that's gone. We'll open that up again. And if I drag it out like that, while we're in game, we can actually adjust the socket location. So make this a little bit bigger. We can select the sight, and I can actually move where the attachment is attached to. So you can relocate your attachment however you like. You can also hit eject, and you'll be able to see a little bit better how it looks. But that's how you can position your attachment like a sight to get it all set up correctly. So next, if I right click to aim, you can see we're still using the weapon's iron sights aiming. Now, this is the part where I'm going to explain how to set up sights. So if you're doing something like a muzzle or a stock for your weapon, then you could probably stop following here. But if you are making a sight, you will want to follow the rest of this so we can get our aiming to line up with our new sight. So to get started, we're going to go to our M4. And I'm going to search for aimed first. Sorry, not aimed. First person aimed hand IK. Now, it's up to you how you do this. I like to just take a screenshot of this value, like that. Not that value. This value here. So we can remember it, or you can like copy and paste the values. But basically we're going to be setting these to 0, so make sure you save a screenshot of them or copy and paste them or whatever, so they're set to 0. Then we'll compile this. Then we're going to go to our master character, and in here we're going to find the first person AO. We can double click it to open up the viewport, and make sure that its location and rotation are both set to 0, 0, 0 for both of those. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our M4. We're just going to search for debug hand IK. We want to take that on, file that. So next I'm going to hit play, We're going to pick up our weapon. Now, because we set it as a default attachment, it's already attached. If you didn't do that, just pick it up and then drag it onto the weapon and it will attach. But I'm going to right click and you can see our weapon's a bit messed up. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit eject, and I'm going to drag out the master character view here. Now this is a little bit easier if you've got two screens. Try and 0 to 6. What we're basically going to do is with the first person AO selected, if I start moving it around, you can see it actually updates in game. We can also rotate it as well because currently it's got the wrong rotation. So we're going to rotate it, going to aim up, I'm going to aim it down a little bit like that. So we should have it in view now when we enter first person. So I'll hit possess. Now you can see we've got our gun in view, so we can start adjusting a little bit more in here. You may want to untick the snapping application as well. But you can see as we move it, it actually updates in game. So what I'm going to do is we're basically just going to use this to line up our sight with the crosshair on the screen, the little white dot. Now obviously you can spend way more time getting this to be super precise for your attachment and everything. I'm going to sort of do a rough job here. So one thing, the closer you get the little gizmo here in the view, the smaller the movements are. So if I change my camera speed, get really close to it, actually make really small precise movements. A bit weird, but so about that's fine for me. But you can spend as long as you want playing about with it. But if you enter game and zoom out, it will, all of your progress will be lost. So make sure you don't zoom out until you're happy with what you've got. So now I've got, the location's fine and I'm happy with it. I'm going to drag this out, and what we're going to do is we're going to copy the location. We're going to go to our site here. We're going to search for we'll go to class defaults. Actually we can just hit stop now. So we'll hit stop. And in ADS camera transform, we're going to add a new element. We're going to set the skeletal mesh to our M4 mesh. So it tells the attachment when we're using this weapon skeletal mesh, we want to use these values. We'll click the little down arrow here, and we're going to paste in a location. Then we'll copy rotation from our master character that we were just adjusting and paste that into rotation. And now we're going to use camera site location. We'll tick that on. Now, if your attachment can be attached to different weapons, you'll need to repeat this process again with each one of the weapons, say the shotgun and the pistol, this exact process. When you do it, make sure that you do set the debug hand IK true. Make sure that you set the aimed, make sure you set the aimed first person hand IK to 0 on rotation and location, and that these are reset to 0 before you hit play. Otherwise you won't be able to update the weapon's location like we did just a moment ago. So now we've done that, we can close this out. Now remember we took this screenshot here of our settings, so I'm just going to manually enter these back in on our M4 so the iron sights still work. So 13.08, it doesn't have to be the exact values because they go into quite decimal points, but we'll just do, that's not the right value, minus 9.2 and minus 0.2, and rotation 1, 4, minus 177. That. So we've reset our iron sights values now, so our weapon should work just fine. So now we've finished setting up the site for the M4. Remember to disable the debug hand IK. If this is still on, it won't use the site's camera offset. So now we can jump in and hit play. If I pick up the weapon and I can zoom, you can see it's actually using our site's aim offset now and not the iron sights. And if you want to remove the sight, we can remove it, and it should switch back now to our iron sights. If it doesn't switch back to your iron sights, you need to make sure that you've set the aimed value back up like I just did. Aimed value, which is the first person aimed value. Make sure that you have set these back up. So everything should work now. So that's pretty much it for adding the site. So lastly, I just wanted to explain a little bit of information about magazines. If you're still trying to add a site or anything like that, you don't have to worry about this information. But if you're interested, a lot of people think that magazines are attached to the the character's hand when you reload, but that's not typically how it's done. Usually what happens is you have a weapon reload animation and a character reload animation. Those animations are usually created together at the same time in a 3D modeling program, and that means that the animations play at the same time and give the impression that the magazine is attached to the hand, but really it's just two separate animations playing together. Now, in Survival Game Kit, if we go to the attachment details, you can find the attachment, the attach, detach, and swap animations here. The way these work is there are notifies in the animations for these, which I can show you now. I'll just open up the attach. Now, this is the montage. The first thing you're going to need to do if you have your own custom animations is the slot needs to be the upper body post AO group slot. So that would be this one here. That's the same for all of the reload montages. You do need to make sure that it's set to that. If I select the animation here and we can just go to the actual animation file, you can see we've got the spawn attachment and add attachment notifies. These must be in your attach animation for it to work, otherwise the system just won't register that you're reloading, or sorry, attaching. Next we can take a quick look at the detach. You can see it's got the same group, and if we go to the detach animation here, you can say we've got the remove attachment and destroy attachment notifies. Again, these need to be in your custom animation if you are adding a custom animation for it to work correctly. And then lastly, we have the swap montage. Now, all this is it's just a duplicate of your detach. You can see it's actually using the detach animation. The only difference is the blend time is set to 0. So to create a swap montage, just duplicate your detach and then set that blend out time to 0. Moving down, then we've got our weapon animations. So you've got the mag attach and detach animations, and these are played on our weapon. This is how it works. The character and the weapon both have their animations play at the same time, and because the animations are made for each other, it gives the impression that the magazine's attached to the hand, but really it's just two separate animations. Moving down, you don't need any notifies in these animations. They're just standard animations. And then moving further down, we've got first person animations. You can just reuse the third person ones if you want to, but if you have specific first person ones you want to use, you can set those up down here. So that's a little bit of information about magazines. If you are also doing a magazine, you may want to, in the attachment blueprint for the magazine, so I'll quickly show you items, attachment items, M4 attachment. You may want to, in the class defaults, make sure attach when unhidden is set to true. That basically means that the magazine will attach to the weapon as soon as it's spawned in by the animation notifies that I showed you earlier. So you want to make sure that this is ticked on. Other than that, that's pretty much how you set up a magazine. I'm not going to explain how to create animations because that's completely outside of what Survival Game Kit is. And the process would be different depending on your program. But that's essentially what you need for magazines attachments to work in Survival Game Kit. So that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching, guys.